Hello, welcome back to Elkwood Sports. This is Jack. This is what it sounded like in Giants Stadium on Thursday night. Where were the fans? Couldn't even hear them. Thought they were doing a moment of silence for like the whole game. Guys, you got to show some emotion out there. Pick your team up. Be there on third downs. Team's not half bad. Do I think they're a playoff team? No, I don't. But not so sure that Dallas is either. Now, the refs were horrible. I do know that, and I do not like picking on refs. But come on, fans. You got to be there. I am going to say this about the refs, though. So somebody calls a face mask on the wrong team, on the wrong face mask. So that ref saw a face mask and took a 50-50 shot on who it was on. That can't happen. That seriously can't happen. You cannot throw that flag if you don't know who the foul is on. But with that being said, Giants are heading in the right direction, and Neighbors is a dude. He's going to be him and Marvin Harrison Jr. in the draft. I said anywhere they go, they're going to make that team better, and I believe that is true. Now I want to go to Dallas. For one thing, your owner's a hell of a salesman, but don't listen to a word he says, man. You guys are as good as you're going to be for the next 3 or 4 years right this second. You're a talented team, but you're not going to be able to build on it. You have untradeable contracts, I believe. I believe this is the time. And from what I saw on Thursday night, you got a long way to go. But with that being said, there's talent there. Now I want to talk to number 11. You are so good. You're going to get paid by somebody. But, man, you really better think before you sign there. If you love Dallas, most popular team, I get it. Sign there. But, man, the AFC is looking kind of nice this time of year. Just want to throw that one out there. All right. So now we're going to look back at the board here. So that's just week 4 schedule. And what I've highlighted there with the X's are the teams that are 1 and 2 that need that win. So if you got a single X, that means that's 1 and 2 team playing, and the double X's means they're playing each other. I believe in 2 things. I believe in the 2 and 2 rule. You have to be at least 2 and 2 after 4 games to even get a shot at the playoffs. Now, Cincinnati's going to test that this year. I also believe that I cannot form opinions about teams for 4 weeks. I've been burned too many times before. So it takes me 4 weeks before I really start talking about weaknesses, matchups, and everything like that. So next week, I cannot wait till next week. Week 4 is one of my favorite weeks in football. So if you look down at those 3-0 teams, their opponent's record is 15-30. Now, that's not the only reason they're 3-0, but it is part. Stephen A. actually had his top 5 rankings for this week, and they were all the undefeated teams. Well, why wouldn't they be? I think he's right there. If you're doing a week to week, I don't see the problem with that. Now, the 0-3 teams, they're 16-11. I just threw that in there just to let you know that they were playing winning teams. But it's definitely the 2 and 2 rule that I am the most. You got to be 2 and 2. 1 and 3 is just so hard to come back from. Okay, now what I do, I like to watch entire games. So I get Thursday nights, who's ever playing. I get Sunday nights, who's ever playing. Monday nights, who's ever playing. A couple games on Sunday. Lions game every week. Usually the Niners game every week. And then I try and choose one. And when I say start to finish, I mean from the first kickoff till the time runs out, but I also mean timeouts. I'm watching them. Fans, I'm watching them. I'm watching everything that goes on in the game. That helps me towards the end of the year. By week 14, 15, I should be able to tell you who I think the top 4 teams will be in the playoffs in the AFC and the NFC. I've been very good at that in the last decade. Got the Super Bowl wrong last year. Had the Ravens winning everything. Forgot about that matchup with the Chiefs. I seen them play San Francisco. I seen them play the Lions. I thought for sure they were going to win the Super Bowl. So entirety of games is very important. So this week, I chose the Colts Bears, partly because I have a love and they kind of piss me off relationship with the Colts. I love them because they got this guy. I'm pissed off because the first thing I ever recorded was my mock draft, and I wanted to get the Lions draft pick right, which is almost impossible. So at 28, I had the Lions trading down to 15 with the Colts to draft this absolute menace out of UCLA, my highest rated defensive player on the board. Watched every one of his games last year. You guys got a good one. And it's not about this year. If I'm right, what he's going to become in the next 2 years is absolutely going to be amazing. Just a great pick. Now, I'm happy with the Lions picks. I'm happy I don't draft for the Lions because they do a damn good job on their own. But I wanted this guy bad. But listen to these numbers in college. First of all, he's 6'5", 265 pounds. But he led the nation with 1.8 tackles for a loss in 2 years at UCLA. He had 13 sacks. He had 2 interceptions and 5 forced fumbles. Now in the pros so far, he's got a sack, and I believe he has a forced fumble too. But watch for 2 years. This guy is going to be, if I'm correct, he's going to be absolutely incredible, and you made a great choice. Now I'm going to go to your quarterback. Okay, 13 games in college is not a lot. It's almost unheard of. This is definitely, I watched him, and I would continue playing him. But you got to have a long leash with him, like the Lions did with Stafford. When we got Stafford, he threw a lot of interceptions. Well, you're normally behind. You throw a lot of 50-50 balls. You throw into tight windows, you're going to have a lot of interceptions. You got to let this guy just unload it. He's got a cannon. Now, I saw him throw a couple of ducks in the game last week. They got to tell him, just go for it. There's going to be a few mistakes, but I believe he's worth it. He averages 6 yards per carry. He's got just kind of that it factor that you look for, and I think he's worth waiting on. So I was kind of impressed, and he's huge. He looks like a linebacker. So, yeah, I had them flirting with the playoffs this year. I don't know if that's going to be true. This game will show me a lot against Pittsburgh, but I'm going to be rooting for the Colts. Pittsburgh's going to be a tough match for them. Pittsburgh's going to be a tough match for a lot of teams. I'll get into that later. Okay. Oh, here's a perfect example. So like I forgot about that. This is what I do with golf. So when golf goes back to pass, this is what I'm saying all the time. I'm saying, do not make a mistake. What I'm asking you to do with Anthony Richardson is the exact opposite. I'm not saying to make a mistake, but you got to have the nerve to throw some passes that aren't safe. Is probably the easiest way to say that. And that's how you learn. With 13 games in college, you're going to have to learn on the fly. But I'm wishing you luck. I do like the Colts. But can we talk about the Loud House? All right, guys. You call it the Loud House. I watched it on TV, and maybe you can't hear it over TV. You were loud, yeah. But you compare that to Ford Field, I'd have to see some evidence of that, because Ford Field is electric. I mean, you can see it, you can hear it. Maybe it's something you gotta see in person in the Loud House. If you're gonna call it the Loud House, you should be able to hear it on TV. So I do question that. Are you sure that Ford Field isn't a little louder? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you got to hear it from inside. But I wanted to throw that out there. And the only thing I want to say about the Bears is I see a lot of Bears on the internet talking about Justin Fields, how well he's doing, why'd we get rid of him. talking about Daniels, how well he's doing at the Commanders. Could have had him. Are you kidding me? You fans made this pick. You guys made this pick 6 months before the draft happened. Even if the Bears wanted to look at Daniels, they probably couldn't because they would have pissed the Bears fans off. And you wanted Fields out of there. You can't say because he's 3-0 now that, maybe we sent him too early. You got who you got. And this guy has made a fool out of me for the last 2 years. So I want to tell you the upside of this. I didn't think he was going to be able to drift backwards like he does, like he did in college. I thought he would get hurt. I thought he'd throw tons of interceptions. The guy's tough as nails. The guy is smart. And I think in the future, he's going to be just fine for you. And I'll tell you what, he may have the best Hail Mary throw in the history of all football. So you're going to have some patience. I know this team was supposed to be better than it is. I still think they're a tough opponent for anybody. I really do. Okay. Now we're going to go from there. So I'm going to go to two fan bases. Now I am a fanatic for the Lions. I am. Two fan bases that I think I would have made a great fan at. One of them is Pittsburgh. One of them is Philadelphia. Pittsburgh, your fans are amazing. They travel well. They seem educated. They're loud. They got the towels. I can hear them on third down in opposing stadiums. It's crazy. You guys ought to be proud of that. My worry is, I'm not worried if you guys get beat and it's a tough game. I don't think you'll hear loud noises then. But if you guys were get throttled by somebody and people are starting to say, well, we should have Russell Wilson in there. For one thing, I do not think you're as good as a team with Russell Wilson. I think the matchup problems that you're going to cause other teams is going to be more with Fields. I just do. I think you really need to run the ball nowadays to be one of those teams that can take down the Chiefs. I just do. Okay. So I would have loved to have been a fan of them if I wasn't a Lion fan. Philadelphia. So nobody watches my shit. I got one person watching my shit, and that's my dad. Thanks, Dad. But yet I got 4 comments back when I said that the Packers were still a better team after they beat Philadelphia. I kind of still believe that. However, I was so impressed with your loss against Atlanta that I'm going to keep a closer eye. My whole thing, that emotion that Hurts showed in that game was absolutely wonderful. Been wanting to see it from him for a long, long time. You guys, on paper, for one thing, I knew Barkley. I knew he was going to be good. I didn't know it was going to be the perfect fit. So that's one. But Jalen Carter, wow. We have the best line in football. And if we play you guys, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but man, we're going to have a tough time with him. That guy is freaking amazing. And he's a youngin'. So, but your passion for you fans, and the way that you worded, you didn't like me too much, but that's passionate fans. I respect it, and I think I'd have made a hell of a fan of you guys too. All right, so now we're going to go around the league a little bit. We're going to go back to those Monday night games. Okay, I already talked about Daniels. I had him going number 2 to Washington too, but I didn't see a lot of LSU games. Saw a lot of highlights. You know what they say about highlights. That's why I like to watch games in their entirety. I like to see bad plays. I like to see good plays. I like to see how you respond to, bad situations. But he looks like the real deal. And he had a cut on a run, seriously, that was Barry Sanders shit. That is the biggest compliment I can give anybody. I don't know if you can make the playoffs this year, but I know that we'll see what happens this week. I got you winning this week, and I'll tell you why later. So we'll see what happens. But I was absolutely, absolutely impressed. I don't know what to make of Cincinnati. I'm going to have to watch more. This was a team that I was very high on in the AFC. Thought they could give the Chiefs some trouble, but I just got to watch more. The Bills, the Bills, the Bills. So, can you guys hear me? Okay. So the Bills are so impressive. They're so hard for me to read, though. The two teams that I have the most problems with, um, kind of figuring out, are the Bills and actually the Eagles. But I'm going to watch more games because they look so impressive. But look, Jacksonville. Okay, I thought you were going to be better. Man, you guys stunk. You guys stunk bad. You guys stunk like a porta potty at a NASCAR race. Oof, man, it was bad. Seriously. I just expected you to be better. I'm a, Trevor Lawrence fan. I hope the best for you, but it did not look good. But are the Bills just that good? I guess we're about ready to find out here pretty soon. I think they play the Ravens this week. Okay. Carolina. Okay, so you put in Andy Dalton, and look what he does. Man, what an impressive day. Very proud of him. Very proud of Carolina. I'm so happy for you. Get to say good things. I just want to warn you. Remember how Young was compared to Steph Curry? I just hope you don't give up on him like the Warriors didn't give up on Curry, because look at his first 2 years in the NBA. If they'd have given up on him, he would have been Steph Curry in another uniform, and that may happen to you. But they stuck with him, and look what happened. So I'm wondering if before you trade him, I'd really think about, if that's something you want to do. The future may be bright for him. He just wasn't ready yet. All right, now we're going to go to the Chiefs. Tell you what, man, the AFC, they should be scared because the Chiefs have not played all that well, and they're 3-0. And that's crazy. So if they're not playing their best ball and they're already 3-0, yeah. If they win their division, which I truly believe they do, I'm a firm believer now. As long as they get one home game, they got as good a shot to win the Super Bowl as anybody. And it sucks, but it's true. Just a fabulous team. Okay, let's go to the Jets. They actually played on Thursday night before. So my girl thinks I have kind of a man crush on Aaron Rodgers, and maybe I do. I like people that are themselves. I like people that are not fake. But he's also a cool hand Luke at the line behind the center. He's smarter probably than anybody in the NFL at the line. Maybe Stafford's up there, Mahomes is up there, but for my money, with one play on the line, at the line, I want Aaron Rodgers. And yeah, the Jets might be for real this year. They're only going to get better, and the confidence is going to grow. And their fans, I was very impressed with. Same city, just seemed like a whole different game. But I saw his interview this week with Aaron Rodgers, and he talks so much about the eye test compared to stats. I love it. Because what's happening nowadays, we have stats at the drop of our hands. We can rewatch plays, and people are using them left and right. I've seen so many stats this week, I can't even believe it. Stats are great. I get it. But the eye test is, for me, number one. And I believe going in the future, when you're talking about sports, you're really going to need, when you're talking about football, you're going to need that eye test. You're going to need to know that, hey, I watched that game. This is what I saw. Nothing to take away from stats, but you know what? I watched some really good football programs during the week that give me all the stats that I pretty much need. I only have to look up a few before, I start talking. I'd rather watch more football. That's what I'd rather do. So, what else did he say? Oh, yeah. He said that Josh Allen was on his way to become MVP. Well, be careful, Aaron, because you might beat him. You might actually be MVP again. Okay, now we're going to get into this eye test a little bit because this pisses me off. I have a 49er friend, a friend that may or may not be on this program at some point in time. He knows his numbers left and right. He knows the 49ers as well as anybody I've ever talked to. He knows his stats, that's for sure. But when I asked him last week, I watched the Lions game. He watched the Niners game. They were playing at the same time. Called him up and said, "What'd you see?" And he said he gave me Purdy stats, which were awesome: 22 of 30, 292 yards, 3 TDs, and a rating of 137.1. But then he told me, I don't think he can do it without his stars, and that's what I saw in the game. Are you freaking kidding me? You didn't tell me about Jennings. You didn't tell me about what Stafford did. Shit, I don't care if you tell me that a cheerleader had a nipple slip. Tell me something that shows me that you actually watched that game. I know he does. I've watched games with him before. It's just, he'll be on that phone and just, stat after stat. He's good at stats. But I believe you really need to show what you're seeing on the field. I wish I can get through to him. Maybe I'm wrong. All right. So there's a big game for me this week. And my Lions game's big to begin with, but this game's even bigger. So Minnesota is playing the Packers. You know how good I think the Packers are. The Packers fans are mean. Man, I chat with a lot of them. They're mean. They have no respect for Minnesota. Think they're better at every position. Some of the score predictions, 55-10. I mean, they absolutely have no respect for Minnesota at all. But I'm kind of going to back them up a little bit because I think they have a reason to be mad. And I think it goes all the way back to Aaron Rodgers. So if you go back to the last game Aaron Rodgers played in, he's walking off the field. He's looking up in the stands. And I can't prove this, but this is what I truly believe. I think it'll come out someday. That he went straight to ownership and said, I can handle the green. Green's my favorite color. It's the color of money. But it looks like somebody pissed on my helmet. And I'm watching fans in the stands with cheese plates on their heads. I mean, we got to do something about this. It's a bad look, just a really bad look. And, of course, ownership told him, we can't do that. And he left. And that is the reason why Aaron Rodgers left the Packers. Again, can't be proven, but pretty sure this is true. But those fans are still there. And you got to feel for them because, they're sitting in the mirror. They're getting their gear on, ready to go to the Lambeau to watch the game. And that final piece, they got to put a wedge of frickin' cheese on the top of their head. What does cheese have to do with football? I do not know. I have no idea. There must be some meaning to it. I don't get it. Why would, I don't know. But they have to put that damn piece of cheese on their head and go to the stadium. Now, I'm telling you, it's real hard to look tough when you have dairy products on your head. It really, really is. So they're mean. They don't like you, Minnesota. They're going to trounce you. You might as well start your backups. They have no respect. And that's the reason why. So you got to give them a little bit of a break. All right, let's get into the Lions game. Now we're going to transfer from the absolute worst looking uniforms in the league to the absolute, by far, best uniforms in the league. You're going to see them on Monday night. These uniforms are sick. I mean, the black unis the Lions will be playing. By the way, Minnesota, we respect you highly, and we're looking forward to do battle with you in the next couple weeks. So, yeah, we have no problems with you. Know you're a good team. So, but this is my favorite stat of the week. So, week 1, Lions play the Rams. We go to overtime. The very next week, the Rams lost 41-10 to Arizona. The next week, the Lions play Tampa Bay. Hard-fought game, and we lost. The next week, Tampa Bay loses to Denver 26-7. What does this tell me? We're going to frickin' hit you. We're going to hurt you, and you're going to feel it for a while. Yeah, we're that tough. So if you think you're going to get out of this without some bruises, you're absolutely wrong. I will say our punter was probably the best player on our team that day. The flea flicker or whatever you call it with Gibbs, not flea flicker, but you know what I'm saying. Hook and ladder, whatever. Forget what it's called. But anyways, awesome play. But I want to shout out the people that came in for the people that were injured. Injuries suck, and they derail teams. And Ragnow's injury worries me. Davenport's, but it's a part of the game that every team has to deal with. So one of the biggest, I think, pluses for the Lions is their depth. And that needs to show in the next few weeks. So the people that are plugging in for the starters, hats off to you. Defense looked great. I believe the offense will come around, and looking forward to Monday night. All right. Okay, when you're watching, man, remember, sports are supposed to be fun. So remember that when you're watching this, if you do see this. We're just having fun here, not to upset anybody. And I want everybody to smile today. You know, there's enough bullshit in the world right now. Just have a good day. Smile. You know, and sports do that for us. I love them. Until next time, this is Jack from Elkwood Sports.